In madness you dwell.
Hey, yo, what's going on, friends? Welcome to episode, somehow we've made it this far, I say that every episode, to 157 of In Madness Pod. Shawn the Butcher here with Vertebrae33. How's it going?
What's going on, Shawn? You know, I think we have the Lisan El Gaib in attendance today for this episode.
What the? Oh, man, I think that was a deep cut, and I think I know that what that was from. That's so funny. We are you're doing your research immediately. That's why this is the premier podcast. It is In Madness Pod. Check us out on all the socials at In Madness Pod. Hit us in the mail sack, which we are dipping into next week. Send us your emails, your voice notes, inmadnesspod@gmail.com. We are on YouTube with our very special guest right now. No matter how you're listening, how you're watching, make sure you're liking, subscribing, commenting, giving the 5-star reviews, even if you think it's like a 3-star, sometimes just give the 5-star review all the time. Check out the In Madness Spotify playlist, which without a doubt, I am adding so much Shai Hulud to after this episode. It is not even funny. That's so much of the reason that we've had this guest, because I can't wait till I have a legitimate reason to put some Shai Hulud on the In Madness Spotify playlist. Happy In Madness Monday. If that's when you're listening, we drop a new episode every single Monday. So tell everybody you know about this show. Spread the madness worldwide. Wrap the tentacles around the world. And then now we're going to the moon again. So we're going to wrap around the moon, and then soon the entire galaxy and all of the universes. You can get a shirt and a mug at inmadness.com. We got to get our guest a shirt after this episode for sure.
Yeah, please.
Yes, we are here with our very special guest, I'd like to say close personal friend of mine after all these years, for real. Matt Fox, guitar player of one of the greatest hardcore bands of all time, Shai Hulud.
Wow.
What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me. 157th episode, coincidentally, the same as my age.
Yeah. Happy 157th birthday.
Thanks,
you look great.
Man. Yeah, it happens this month.
Dude, I mean, immediately you're like, I posted something about one of these episodes, and you're like, yeah, been listening to all of them. And I'm like, Matt, you're like, the religious rate at which I listen to your music, and the fact that you are like listening to our little garage podcast that we have going on here. It is so pleasing to me. So, okay, so you said you learned a lot about Silence of the Lambs. How long have you been listening? When did you start listening? What's some of your blow up our ego a little bit? What's some of your favorite things about the podcast?
Oh man, well now I'm on the spot. Let's see. I'd have to look back. I listened. When
did you start listening?
When did I start listening? I would say it's about 6 months ago is when I became aware of it. I'm kind of out of the loop. I mean, I check Instagram often, and I follow everything that you do. So when I saw that you had a podcast, I signed on.
I appreciate that.
So it's been about 6 months. I listened to the interview with the author that you just had on.
Stephen Graham Jones.
Yeah, like I said, I've been on for about 6 months, but I have a list of on Spotify of podcasts that is about maybe 100 deep. And usually I just put them on and go to sleep. But every Monday, yours is at the top of the list. Yeah. So I get to hear most of it. But yeah, and I haven't taken the Silence of the Lambs podcasts, either of them, out of my queue they're still there. So yeah.
Do you find yourself dipping back into the movies that we talk about, or does it help you think if you don't go back, can you see the movie in your head as we're talking about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen Silence of the Lambs maybe only 2 or 3 times. Actually, because of the podcast, I just put it in my watch list on Prime.
Amazing.
Awesome.
So I can watch it again now after listening to both episodes. Like I said, I have a clearer understanding of some things that I missed.
That's
fantastic.
Beautiful.
Sean,
Yeah.
157 episodes in, and you forgot to ask me what mug I have.
Oh, that's right. What mug do you have for this
the
week's
golden rule
episode?
because I have a Dune mug for this episode.
Wow.
This heat activated Dune mug, because we will do a little Dune talk in a minute.
Geez,
But
I'm gonna prove to be an ignoramus. I read the book. I read the book when I was 18, and I'm 157 now, so that's a long time ago, man.
yeah. Did you see the trailer? Have you kept up on the new films, the Denis Villeneuve films?
I saw the first one in the theater with our guitar player, loved it. And when the second one was out, I don't know if we were on tour or we were practicing often, but I didn't get a chance to see part 2 in the theater. So I still have yet to watch part 2. But loved part 1, loved what the guy did with it. I was afraid sometimes Jason Momoa scares me because sometimes I think he likes to crack jokes. So I was afraid that they were going to give him too much comic relief. But it was good. I really enjoyed Dune. Everything that I watch, because I'm nerdy this way, I signed up for IMDb like 25, 30 years ago. So I rate everything I watch on IMDb, and I definitely gave it I gave it an 8, but I would probably say it's like an 8.5. Good, very good representation of Dune.
Yeah, and then we get the third one coming out in December, and the trailer dropped for that. So now you'll have to kind of get into 2 and then dive into 3, and we'll see what he can pack into this movie, because it's a lot.
I'll check out 2 streaming, and I definitely won't miss 3 in the theater.
Yeah. I want to nerd out. I mean, listen, so throughout the years, this is like 3.5 years, me and Vertebrae have been doing this. Our big focus is usually movies, and then we love to talk about art and other things that we love.
Yeah.
So we're here, of course, to talk to Matt Fox with Shai Hulud about movies, which I will do eventually. But man, to have you here at our, to our honor, and to have you here and to just be able to talk to you about some Shai Hulud stuff real quick. That I have been, man, because I just listen to these records over and over again, and just about your history and your past. What was your gateway into music, and what made you want to start a band to begin with?
Well, I loved music since probably since I saw images of Kiss. That's got to be what started it. Before I even heard the music, Kiss was my favorite band. I would, I remember playing with blocks in kindergarten and using them as guitars and pretending I was Gene Simmons. So yeah, before I even heard the music, I was a big fan of Kiss. When I finally heard the music, they became one of my favorites. But the thing is interesting, well, I think it's kind of interesting, is that there was no music ever played in my house. The only music that played in my house came from me. My mother she had like an ABBA 8-track. I think she had Glass Houses by Billy Joel on 8-track.
Long Island's own.
Yeah, of course. And a Simon and Garfunkel 8-track. And I've never really listened to ABBA, but I now love Billy Joel and Simon and Garfunkel, but I never heard them until I was like well into my 20s, because my mother never played music. So MTV happened to start when I was a kid. And I would say Def Leppard and Quiet Riot after Kiss were a huge influence on me. The first album that I remember buying with my own money was Journey Escape. So I always had an interest in, like, if you want to call it hard rock. To me, it was hard rock when I was like, 6 or 7 or 8, however old I was. But yeah, Journey, Def Leppard, Quiet Riot, and then the big one was Twisted Sister. When I saw the video for We're Not Gonna Take It, I absolutely dropped everything. Twisted Sister was a huge, important band, also from Long Island, right?
Long Island Zone again.
Yeah. So they were big, but the only band that could dethrone Twisted Sister was Motley Crue. When I heard Shout at the Devil, that became my favorite. So I started playing, mostly hard rock. I should probably mention, even though it's not hard rock, one of my favorite bands, probably my first favorite band because of the music. Like I said, Kiss, just image-wise, did it for me. But my first favorite band that I fell in love with because of the music was, believe it or not, Men at Work from Australia. Still another one of my all-time favorites. So I should just throw them in. But outside of Men at Work, I didn't listen to much pop. I would listen to the radio just so I could hear like Hot for Teacher or Jump, stuff like that. But when I started buying my own tapes, again, like the Journeys and the Def Leppard Pyromania, Stay Hungry, that was the music that filled the house. And again, Shout at the Devil really took everything over. I even have a really terrible picture of me at like 10 or 11 attempting to dress up as Nikki Sixx.
Oh, great.
Yeah. I mean, I look nothing like, it's terrible.
Yeah. So when did you finally pick up a guitar and be like, all right, this is where it begins?
Well, that's interesting because I started out as a drummer. I had my old thrash band that was called Evil Alive, which was Kiss Alive. The live album Alive by Kiss was turned upside down behind me, and my friend were trying to find names. And I said, what about Evilla? Looking at Kiss Alive upside down. And then I said, wait a second, how about Evilla Live? And that was our first thrash band, which I played drums for. My friend Joe, who really taught me how to play guitar, taught me a power chord. He wanted to, we were young. We were probably 12 or 13. And he wanted me to play a power chord so he could try to write a solo. And he taught me, he said, yeah, that's called a power chord. You can play that all throughout the fretboard. So I started experimenting with, all right, so if this is a power chord, what happens if I literally invert it? And, and I said, oh, wow, that sounds cool too. So I just, first and foremost, Joe taught me. He also taught me all the open chords. But I just kind of played around with guitar, but I played drums primarily probably until I was about 17 or 18. This is crazy because I love so much good. My favorite music is metal, but for whatever reason, what captured me the most and made me want to play guitar was the first song by Bad Brains I ever heard, which was Sailin' On. When I heard Sailin' On, something about the manic energy of it, I was just like, oh, you know what? I don't want to play drums anymore. I want to copy this. So then I started really practicing to like Misfits, Circle Jerks, Descendants, Bad Brains, Minor Threat. And that's how a lot of people think, because I'm such a metal guy, that, I'm a shredder and I'm a metal player. I'm really not a metal player at all. I can't shred to save my life. I have a punk rock sensibility.
I mean, listen, so does James Hetfield, and he is one of the greatest of all time,
if not the greatest.
Yes.
So Matt,
go ahead.
I want to ask you something. So a couple of things to unpack here, Shawn. We're talking one, Kiss was also my gateway. You know that. Shawn and I talked about our first concerts. My first concert was Kiss. Secondly, Men at Work, Colin Hay, incredible solo album, by the way.
Yeah, beautiful.
Incredible music. Yeah, absolutely amazing. And lastly, is it true? Because, I do a little research for the show and I'm talking about it. Did you coin the term metalcore? Is that you?
No, I have proof that I didn't. I'll tell the little story. It was because of Earth Crisis's album "Destroy the Machines." My friend Chad, who used to play bass in the band Strong Arm and currently plays bass in the band Further Seems Forever, he and I were listening to Destroy the Machines in the bedroom in my grandma's apartment where I lived at the time. And we put on the first song, and I remember we just said, wow, this isn't hardcore at all. This is like metal core. And we were just joking around. We said, yeah, that's what this is, metalcore. But so at the time, we didn't know it was ever used, but I have an image saved on my computer in case I'm ever accused of coining the term metalcore. The band Warzone, I think they were on Relativity Records. I can't remember for sure, but I have an ad where it says like New York metalcore. And that was like 15 years before my friend Chad and I said metalcore about Earth Crisis.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious because it's listed on, like, if you Google you and look it up, it comes up that you were the one who coined that phrase.
Did not. I definitely did not. It was used long before I ever used it. But Shai Hulud, because at the time, like, around 99, 2000, metalcore wasn't a genre yet.
Right.
So we thought it was funny, or somewhat, definitely not these days, but back then we thought it was somewhat appropriate, even though, as opposed to metalcore. And thank you for just calling us a hardcore band. I really appreciate that.
That's the thing. I was with you guys in the late 90s, early 2000s, and before people were saying metalcore, hardcore, everything. This is all hardcore. Yeah.
Yeah. I prefer to metalcore. I prefer just progressive hardcore. We incorporate other ideas, which, it kind of expands upon hardcore. But like I was saying, back in 99, 2000, we would put the term metalcore on our t-shirts. So if anything, and I don't say me, but we may have popularized the term a bit, but that's nothing that I'm necessarily proud of.
I will tell you that I first bought Shai Hulud CD just on the name alone, because at that time, it was just like, a genre section. You're looking around and it's like, well, what is this? This is a Dune reference. I got to dig into it. And I was into hardcore at the time. So somebody probably said, oh, you also have to listen to these guys. I may or may not, Shawn, I have to check, but I may have an old Shai Hulud t-shirt. So nice. I have to check my old collection. And when you just said, we put metalcore in the back of the t-shirt, I literally pictured it in my head from like seeing it at a show.
Yeah, I can remember. I can remember two items. One, we had a sweatshirt, and on the back was a big picture of the Earth, and around it said Terran Metalcore. And then we did another shirt, which we recently reprinted for just a limited time, that said a neoclassical metal orchestra.
Oh, geez. That's great.
And we did that back in 2000.
I love it.
You will not hear me refer to Hulud as metalcore, not for years.
Right. It's always been hardcore for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. What metalcore is unto itself, and
especially now it's completely different than what it was when it started, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I used to we would call Integrity or Coalesce, definitely Earth Crisis, Dead Guy. These were, before the term was so popular, these were metalcore bands. But
right.
Now it's entirely different, and my hair is just too gray to to be in a metalcore band.
Can you tell me about just, as briefly as you can, just the birth of Shai Hulud and how it all started for you?
Yeah. Being quick isn't my strong suit, but I'll try.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
Well, I was working at a record store with my friend Oliver, who was Shai Hulud's first guitar player. And a record that I shamefully overlook, a record that really got me and Oliver wanting to be in a hardcore band, was Mantra by Shelter. We love the whole record, but particularly the 2 hardcore songs on that record.
Mm-hmm.
We would listen to it at work all the time and we'd say, fuck, we really want to start a hardcore band. So he and I had this idea. And then my friend Dave, who I hung out with all the time, he wanted to start a hardcore band, but he didn't know Oliver. And then I got a phone call from this guy, Damien Moyal, who, became pretty well known for singing in Morning Again, Culture, and Has Friends Rust, and his own band, Damien Dunn. He got in touch with me and said, hey, we should start a hardcore band. We don't know each other, but I know what you like, and it's the same stuff that I like. Let's start a hardcore band. So I was like in the center, but I had, Dave over here, Oliver over here, and Damien. So I was like, wow, if I bring all of us together, we pretty much have a band. And Damien found our original drummer, a guy named Jason. And that's how it started. That was roughly in 1995.
Yeah, the music you guys have put out, I've been listening to. Hearts Once Nourished with Hope and Compassion I put it up there with, Hate Breeds Satisfaction is Desire, VOD self-titled The Green Drip record.
Yeah.
I'll listen to new music constantly, but then I'll usually stop and go back and listen to what I've grown up listening to. And that record is just one I keep going back to. I love the use of samples that you use. You use the Groundhog Day sample.
Sure.
Can you just quickly talk about the importance of samples in hardcore? Because it is vast throughout the genre.
Yeah. To me, it really just, it makes the record more fun. Our other band, Zombie Apocalypse, we use a lot of samples, more to comic effect than Hulud does. But in Shai Hulud, like I said, it makes the records more fun, but it's also, it helps create a mood of a song. Like the funny, we've all seen Groundhog Day and we know it's a hilarious movie, but I was watching it with my friend Eric, Groundhog Day, back in probably 95 or so. And we were sitting there watching it together and that line came on and it stuck out like a sore thumb. Like, this is not funny. That's really serious. And it creates such a cool mood for what that song ended up becoming. And we, as we introduced that song with the sample, on stage live. We don't play it, we speak it. So it, you incorporate these awesome lines into your own music. And it really helps create cool moods, I think.
What I love is not knowing where a sample's from or hearing it in a song, and then I'm watching a movie and the clip comes up and I'm like, oh, that's in the, because in the Hatebreed album they use a clip from Shawshank Redemption, I think, and I didn't know that until I saw Shawshank and I was like, oh my god, that's from the Hatebreed record.
That happened to me recently. I think it's on Earth Crisis's controversial album Slither. I think there's a sample from what is the name of the movie? I'm drawing a blank now. With Robert De Niro, a remake by Scorsese. What I can't believe that I'm drawing a blank. The only thing that's coming to mind is Near Dark. It's 2 words. But anyway, in that movie, Robert De Niro says, now you will learn about loss. And I was watching that movie only about a couple months ago, and I said, oh my god, that's where Earth Crisis got it from.
Great. Hell yeah.
The name of the movie will come to me.
Yeah, if it comes up during the podcast, just blurt it out.
Yeah, I can't believe that I can't remember it.
And
I
it always
love
happens when we do the podcast.
Yeah, it happens.
You got to tell me, Set Your Body Ablaze, hate upon hate upon hate. What is that sample from?
You're close. It's heat upon heat.
Is it
upon
heat? Oh, I thought it was hate. Listen, I've been listening to that song for 2 decades, and I thought it was hate. I did not know it was. That's Shawn facts right there. We haven't had
We haven't had one in a while.
So it's heat upon heat upon heat. The song's called "Set Your Body Ablaze." Where is that clip from?
Real quick, I just looked it up. I can't believe I couldn't remember it, but it's Cape Fear.
Cape Fear.
Cape Fear.
Great soundtrack. Great theme song.
Yeah. And when I heard it, I was blown away. Like, oh, that's a great sample they used. But heat upon heat upon heat is actually from Dune.
Oh, God damn it.
The original Dune, obviously, from 1984.
God damn.
Have you seen that, Shawn?
No,
Have you seen?
No, I got to see these movies. I got to see it. it. I'm sorry.
You do have to see.
Yeah.
A lot of people really hate the original. I fell in love with it when I saw it, but I had the benefit of a good friend of mine way back in high school who I watched it with, and he kind of explained and filled in the gaps that the movie, didn't fill in itself. So I had the benefit of having a better understanding of the movie than most people, because my friend had read, I think, all the books at that point, and that I saw the movie before I read the book. But yeah, I highly recommend it. I think some might say it's a little campy, but I think the acting in the original, I think it's great. I love the guy. The actor's name is Kenneth McMillan, and he plays the Baron Harkonnen. Mm-hmm. He doesn't play it as subdued as Sarsgaard does. He's more animated and over the top, but he does just such a fantastic job as the Baron. Definitely recommend seeing it.
Yeah, Shawn, we got it. We'll do all the Dune. We'll do the original. I have it over here, a cool version of it. I got that, Shawn. But yeah, I think it's actually going to grow a little in popularity because there are some things that Villeneuve is doing that he's skipping over some beats that was touched on in the other film and vice versa. And I think it's going to start to get respected a little more for its interpretation. And obviously, they run into this a few kind of weird things they do that are not in the book at all that they have to add in. But I think when you look at these 3 Denis films, you're going to see some weird things that he's going to do that weren't in the books as well to kind of close some loops. So I think if anything, it's going to grow a little bit. Arrow put out an incredible edition of it, Shawn, that I have on my shelf waiting for us to view so we can cover it on the podcast. And it's got a bunch of extras and commentary and everything.
Nice. I have a steelbook version of it. I don't remember who put it out, but I had to get that. I think that, like you said, it's gaining popularity, and there are definitely its fans. There are those of us who really still love it.
Yeah. And there was a miniseries too, a sci-fi miniseries, which is actually pretty decent at points. Certainly the budget was lower, but they did a few things. But, Matt, I want to ask you a question, and this is an overarching. I know Shawn probably has like 700 other specific Shai Hulud questions, so I'm going to let him get them in. Look how excited he is. But, you guys are around in the 90s, and we get this for people who might not know and are listening for the first time. We get that period of time where we kind of get this boom in certain genres of music. And I think it happens differently. But at that time, the labels start signing people to bigger labels, and you sort of get this arch of like bands like Madball and Biohazard, like crossing over and doing all this other stuff. And you guys come along and sort of weather that storm. Right. You're taking place alongside all of that. And then that kind of starts to peter out, and people start to look at some of those bands in a different way, and maybe they don't like them anymore. And Shai Hulud goes through that period of time and continues on.
Yeah.
What is it like on that crest? Because at that point in time, you have people getting signed left and right. You mentioned Shelter. Shelter puts out what was it, When 20 Summers Pass?
Yep.
And they're getting bigger and bigger, and all these bands are playing different shows, and Life of Agony is getting huge, and this is happening, and it goes up, and then all of a sudden kind of the bottom drops out. and these bands kind of scurry a little or move into other stuff, and you guys have cruised along, right?
I appreciate that. We signed to Metal Blade roughly around 2005, 6, 7, 8, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were hoping that would be the album that would put us over the top.
Right.
But really the only people that bought it were the diehard Hulud fans.
Mm-hmm.
I love Metal Blade. I grew up on Metal Blade. The people at Metal Blade are fantastic. Whether or not it was the best fit for Hulud, I don't know. But all of our friends not only were signed to the label, but they put in good words for us. Like, they had to sign us. We were, when Trevor was still around, Black Dahlia Murder put in a good word for us. Into the Moat, Unearth, the Red Chord, everybody that was on the label practically at that time said, "Oh, you guys got to sign Shai Hulud." Mm-hmm. So we got lucky with that. Again, I don't know if we really rode the crest so well, because our most controversial album is definitely the first that we did for Metal Blade, which is called Misanthropy Pure. It's an answer to our second record, That Within Blood Tempered, because That Within Blood Tempered was extremely melodic and came off, because of the recording, I think, a little softer at times. So we signed to Metal Blade. I grew my hair long, and we put out Misanthropy Pure. We put out Misanthropy Pure as to be like a punch in the face and a big fuck you to anyone that thought we were going soft. Mm-hmm. Again, that record has its fans, but I think it's still quite a polarizing record. We're working on new stuff, and we hope that we can, rise to the occasion again. Because we fell off, everybody comments about all our member changes. Of course, it's hilarious. Wikipedia's got 7,000 Shai Hulud members.
Matt Fox is the first blip all the way down to the last blip, though.
Yeah, I've been there. And it's funny you mentioned that. Not that I need any credit, but no one says anything about, wow, that guy's got tenacity, or that guy really cared to keep this shit together.
The chutzpah.
No one says that. They just talk about
saying it right here on it. That's why we got Matt Fox on it, man. This pod, fucking legend right here.
Oh man. But yeah, so there were things that happened in the band between the member changes, long time between albums, that definitely knocked us down a few pegs. But we're still going. Shawn just saw us, a couple months back. We're firing on all cylinders. We got new stuff coming. So we'll just see what happens. And hopefully, the crest will be there and we can ride it for a little while.
I mean, it's here right now, man. There's so much going on in hardcore, in metal, and all the stuff that I'm listening to and all the stuff that I'm pushing. We got bands that haven't put out albums in years. Tony Danza, Tap Dance Extravaganza.
Yeah.
Poison the Well just put out one of my favorite records of the year. I grew up on Opposite of December and Tear from the Red, and these were albums I was listening to when I was listening to Shai Hulud, and to see all of these bands back out right now doing this putting out all this amazing music. My end question was going to be, what's up with new Shai Hulud? We're talking about it now. You gotta put me on to something, give me an exclusive or something. I gotta hear it.
Yeah, you'll be one of the first people to hear it. We're supposed to be recording not a full-length album, but a few songs,
which is perfect. 5-song EP, 4-song EP. That's what it's all about right there.
Yeah, so we'll definitely do something, and I'll be sure to send it to you first. But yeah, we are definitely working on it, slowly but surely, probably a little slower than some of the guys in the band would like. but I tend to take my time, and sometimes I can go for days without even picking up a guitar. Some days writing music for me, I don't know if it was always this way, but I find it difficult to write really what I think is good stuff, that meets, I don't know how high my standard is, but my standard for myself is pretty high, and I don't want to put out bullshit. So sometimes I just don't even want to pick up the guitar.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you can realize that and not just be like, here's some riff I pulled out of my ass and we made a song out of it in 3 days, 3 minutes, whatever.
Yeah. And there are some bands that I hear that's what it sounds like to me. And
Shai Hulud can be the answer to all of that.
Hopefully we will.
Yeah.
But yeah, so writing music for me, again, maybe not for anybody else, but it's difficult. And some days I just don't feel like thinking. Some days I want to watch RoboCop.
So before we segue to RoboCop, because we're about to get there and we'll slide into the movies. Can you, as a visual artist, I am always keen on other creatives' process when creating. So can you take me through getting into that headspace for music? Can you take me through what you need to do? Are there things, parameters set up? Do you have to be in the right mood, or can you do it on demand? Like, how does that work?
I don't know if there's definitely a mood. The guys in the band are going to kill me for saying this. My default action is to do nothing. I love doing nothing. I don't like, I tend to overthink, which is the problem. I don't like to overthink. And when I pick up a guitar, that's automatically what I start doing. Like I said, there's not necessarily a mood. It's something I just know I have to do and something I want to do. I've heard other people say things like this before, but I hate writing, but I love having written. Like when I finally
going to the gym. Hate going to the gym, but I love this 6-pack. Yeah.
Well, I've never had that. But
Shawn, you got a 6-pack, Shawn? You've been
I could imagine it's what people
right.
say. Yeah.
I'm working on a solid 1-pack. Is what I'm
I've got what looks like a 12-pack, but it's certainly, But so I tend to overthink, and I just want to write. I like riffs. I like, what I really love, and what I am constantly trying to do is, I'm as silly as it may sound, I'm trying to give myself goosebumps, and obviously after I record something, I don't know if you guys are musicians or after you do something, typically if you hear it, you go, Jesus Christ, I can't believe I'm releasing this. This is terrible. But after a few years, like, we were relearning some Reach Beyond the Sun songs. So that's our last full-length album on Metal Blade. And I went back to relearn some parts. And as I was listening to it, I said, shit, this is giving me goosebumps. So that's how, whether anyone else likes it or not, that's like my benchmark. Did I give I've got to wait 10 years to find out, but, did I give myself goosebumps? And not with all of our songs, but with a decent amount I have. And when I'm writing, that's what I'm trying to do. I of course, at shows, we all like to see kids kill each other and mosh and go crazy. But if getting a bunch of people passionately up front, screaming the words, and if somebody comes up to me or any of us after a show and says, man, you guys made me think, you guys give me goosebumps, those are the highest compliments. That's not to say that, again, we don't like the dancing, we do, but that's not what fills my heart. So yeah, at risk of talking too long, I just try to write riffs that are interesting to me, and No Effects kind of said it best. I think the song they have is called Mediocre. And one of the lyrics, I'm paraphrasing, but Fat Mike says, "Can't we write music that no one's heard before?" And that always stuck with me. So especially with the new song that we just wrote, I'm very, very confident that it's not something anyone's heard before.
It's Shai Hulud.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
We seem to think so, and we like to think that it's unique.
Your cover of No Effects, Linoleum, one of the greatest songs of all time. How Metallica makes other songs when they cover them their own.
Yeah,
Shai Hulud made Linoleum its own. It is what I listen to it constantly. One of my favorites. I play it on Liquid Metal constantly. You have toured the world. You have done so much. I promise I'm going to talk about movies in 2 seconds. Just you throughout your career, what is one of the craziest road experiences out there touring, playing that you have ever had that always sticks with you till the day you can no longer play?
It's got to be the first time, either Europe or Japan. The first time we went to Europe and or Japan. I know it sounds cliche, but it's so true. You know, I was just a kid born on Long Island. I don't know if you knew that.
Where in Long Island?
I was born in Smithtown, and I lived in Little Neck until I was 5.
Great.
But then my family moved down to Florida, and I'd never been out of the country. I'd never been anywhere, you know. And all of a sudden we get a chance to go. Well, we went to Canada like in 96, 97. But, you know, when we finally got to Europe, and especially Japan, because it's the most beautiful place and it's such another world, to see people singing along. And in Japan, they don't know the words. All they know is like the phonetics of the words. So, you know, they're singing to Shai Hulud the way I sing along to the Misfits. I don't know what the hell Glenn Danzig's saying. I just mimic the word. You know what I'm saying?
I probably do the same thing to Shai Hulud, to be
that's fine. Yeah. Move to Japan. But so, yeah, when we went to Japan for the first time, and to have people react, not just because there was some band playing, but a band that they connected with at some point. Oh, and here's a really cool, I promise it'll be brief, a cool little story. I was sleeping because it was our first time in Japan. It was jet lag. Mm-hmm. I was laying on a couch sleeping, and a Japanese guitar player woke me up by playing the main riff in our song "This Wake I Myself Have Stirred."
How sick is that?
Wow.
And I never met the guy. I don't even know who it is. I wonder if it's one of my friends now. But yeah, like I said, I'm taking a nap on a couch in Japan, and I wake up and this guy standing over me with beaming from ear to ear, and he's playing do 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 do, and it's like, what that is like people always say, music is the universal language. You know, he couldn't say hello to me. I couldn't say konnichiwa to him.
But he could play that riff.
But he played the music, and
Amazing.
We bonded and we connected.
That brings a tear to my eye.
That was a wonderful experience that I had, along with just, again, being in Europe and Japan to begin with.
So sick.
So Shawn, we have to, because Matt mentioned it already, and he mentioned it when we got on. we have to talk about his love of RoboCop. Mind you, Shawn, a film we have not done on the podcast yet.
And it keeps popping up when I'm scrolling through streaming, and I was like, we got to cover this.
And now we have 2 potential guests to talk about RoboCop, because we also have our buddy Chris from Mischief Toys, who's spoken to us a few times about if you do RoboCop, I want to come on and have a conversation, following it as well. So is that up there for you, Matt? Is that one of your go-to films?
You know what's funny? Well, first of all, I'm looking at 2 pictures of Boddicker hanging on my wall right now. Clarence Boddicker, that is, played by Kurtwood Smith, who's got to be my favorite movie villain ever. But I haven't watched RoboCop in a long time. But I feel like I know it by heart. You guys ever watch Stephen Colbert at all?
Once in a
Yes.
while.
Yeah.
He's got that thing called the Colbert Questionnaire where he asks everybody a series of questions. And one of his questions is, what's your favorite action movie? And sometimes when I watch that, I'm hoping someone's going to say RoboCop. But I'm thinking to myself, I love Star Wars, could be considered action. I love Indiana Jones. I love all the basics. But I think if I had to pick, there's Predator, there's Die Hard, there's Aliens, there's tons of great action movies. But if I had to really just gun to the head, pick a favorite action movie, it's got to be RoboCop. I can't recall when I saw Aliens in the theater, and I absolutely loved it, but I wasn't completely blown away like I was when I saw RoboCop. RoboCop left me speechless. I don't know if it's because of the brutal violence or maybe because I went in with such low expectations. I thought it was going to be a kids movie. I had no idea. I thought it was going to be like, RoboCop, part man, part machine, all cop. I'm like, what is this cheesy shit? And wow, if you go in expecting one thing and you come out with what RoboCop is, I was scarred. That movie, all my memories of that movie probably came from my first viewing because I couldn't stop thinking about it for months. And I don't think, there's The Godfather, there's great movies, everywhere, but I don't think any movie blew me away as much as RoboCop did. So that's why I'm always talking about it and referencing it.
That's awesome. We always say on the podcast, like, it's the way movies hit us, right? Shawn and I have talked about a ton of movies. Some of them I feel like I've dragged Shawn through, and some he's dragged me through, but you can never take away what that feels to you, either the first time you viewed it or just how it hit you.
Yeah.
And we always like to kind of go through a few movies that we've talked about on the podcast and kind of see your thoughts on those. We start kind of usually with Halloween. The original Halloween. Connection to that film?
Well, here's something that I probably shouldn't admit on the In Madness podcast, but horror movies scare the fuck out of me.
That's great.
Yeah. Jump scares, the fake jump scare where it's the cat and not the monster. Yes. Yeah, the cat scares me too. So, if it's a jump scare, it doesn't matter if it's a pretty bunny or if it's somebody following a nurse with shears, like in Exorcist 3, which I've never seen because I'm terrified to watch it. But it doesn't matter what the jump scare is. Every jump scare gets me. And I happen, just for whatever reason, to fucking hate jump scares. I hate the way it makes me feel. You'll never catch me in a haunted house ever again. I've been, but never again.
Yeah.
So my point is, I waited a long time to see Halloween. I was scared. And the jump scares definitely got me. However, what a great movie. Fantastic film. I probably saw it when I was in my maybe late 20s, early 30s for the first time. But yeah, it would definitely make it in my top 10 horror films of all time.
Nice. What about The Exorcist?
Love it. Absolutely love it. I didn't see it until I was in my 30s, probably. Again, probably late 20s. See, we had a bass player who's still a big part of the band. His name is Matt Fletcher, and he's in love with horror films. He used to watch like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Exorcist. Like for me, it could crack me up. It would be like he's cleaning his room at 2 p.m. on a Sunday, and he's just got The Exorcist playing willy-nilly in the background. And I was like, I'm never going to watch. I can't watch that movie. But when it was re-released in the theater, I guess that was like around 2000, 2001. I was kind of dragged to see it. And it's not my favorite horror film, but if I had to attempt to objectively pick what I think is the greatest horror film ever made, my choice would be The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Matt, there's no bravado on this podcast or tough guyness. Shawn and I frequently talk about things that scare us. When we did The Exorcist, we were both completely freaked out during that period of time where we watched it multiple times. We've interviewed 4 horror authors, and I've listened to other interviews of the horror authors as well, and a lot of them talk about things that really scare them. It doesn't scare them when they write it and they're in control of it, but it scares them when they're not in control of it. Another book, another movie. So the same thing with Shawn and I. Shawn knows this. I don't like to go to the movies to see horror movies. I'll see them, but I got to see them at home. I got to be able to pause it. I got to be able to get up and go behind the couch. I got to be able to move around. Shawn knows this. Shawn's there with popcorn and he's hiding his face and
digging in my belly button. Yeah.
Looking at the top corner of the screen so he's not looking at whatever they're showing him, right?
That's so funny that I say that.
Yeah.
I watched, it was the reboot of Halloween. The newest, not the newest one, but where Jamie Lee Curtis came back a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I watched it with a friend of mine, and she's like, you got to stop pausing because anytime I thought there was a jump scare, I would pause the movie and I'd like take a breath and then unpause it. I make it so it's like I'm watching it in slow motion.
Yes.
So I could see the jump scare before it happens. It's pathetic. It's really pathetic. But going back to The Exorcist, why I think it's such a great movie. I love dialogue in films. I love great dialogue. I don't know if it's showing up on your podcast, but my screen name for everything is Glengarry Glen Ross, or Glengarry X is my screen name. But I love that movie, and it's largely because of the dialogue. But I think the most interesting dialogue that I've ever heard is in The Exorcist. I mean, if you wanted to be a fly on the wall, which we're given that opportunity when watching The Exorcist, to be a fly on the wall between a priest and a demon-possessed girl, I mean, what better conversation is there? And there's something about villains or monsters who are polite in their speech. I love when
Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, Hannibal Lecter is a king. Another one that I loved, it's a little off topic, but when I first saw the Hobbit cartoon, the way that Smaug talked in that cartoon, I just loved. But I love how Pazuzu rather, says, now kindly undo these straps. It's just it's one of the most interesting and fascinating conversations, in my opinion, in movie history. So that's mostly the jump scares scare the fuck out of me, and the movie is great overall. But those conversations between Karis and Reagan are again fascinating.
Was that Hobbit? The animated one was the one in the 70s?
Yeah.
So that was actually a Rankin and Bass production, which, Shawn, you'll know Rankin and Bass is all the Christmas specials, like the
claymation
off and all that.
Yeah.
The stop motion stuff. But that's a good one.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I might be, but I think John Huston did the voice of Smaug, and I just loved the way he performed it. And I mean, it was probably, the dialogue most likely came straight from the book, but the politeness of the way he talked always stuck with me. And that's something till this day I still appreciate, especially when it comes to villains.
Shawn, can I give him a couple more? I know you might have.
Give him one or two more. Give him one or two more.
Okay, because I know Shawn might have
No, go ahead.
The other
this is
Shai Hulud questions.
Because when I thought you said you hate jump scares, I was like, oh no, he doesn't watch horror movies, but deep quotes perfectly from The Exorcist. So I was like, he hates the jump scares, but you do dig deep into these movies regardless.
Yeah, I mean, I like what I like. There's a lot of horror movies that I just won't.
Same here. We're a horror podcast, and there's a lot of horror movies that we just will not touch. Some are very popular, and it's not even what
it's
we're
not our cup of tea.
Yeah,
it's fine. Yeah. So I'll give you a couple more recent ones. Well, before we go recent, I want to Alien. You mentioned Alien singing in theater.
Yeah.
How did you see those movies? Which one did you see first?
Saw Aliens first. That was 1986. And I think the way I felt about RoboCop, which was the next year, my friend felt about Aliens because he'd seen it before, and he took me to go see Aliens in the theater. And like I said, I think he was really blown away by it. And I absolutely loved it. Like the thought of watching the first Alien before Aliens came out was not even on my radar. That's scary. I'm not watching it. I've always been a huge wimp. But so when I saw Aliens, and there was a couple jump scares here and there, but mostly it's an action film, as we all know. So I saw Aliens, and that made me want to go see Alien. But again, I probably didn't see it. Same with The Thing until my late 20s, early 30s. Movies that I missed because as a kid I was terrified, but now I wanted to go back and see. And I fell in love with Alien. Alien, I know some people don't consider it a horror film, but if you do, I would put Alien in my top 5. Exorcist is definitely in my top 5. Mm-hmm. But Alien is as well. I absolutely love it. Fantastic acting, great dialogue. I love Yaphet Kotto. Mm-hmm. We got to talk about them bonuses.
The bonus situation.
Yeah. What's the bonus situation?
So the Aliens, Shawn, we'll probably end up doing that movie this year on the podcast Aliens. And that'll probably be our most controversial episode of all time because of my strong thoughts on Aliens, which we don't need to get into now. But I have a deep love of Alien and a not so much deep love of Aliens.
Really?
But I have reasons, and we will get to it. We'll tune in later on, and we'll find out.
I'll be listening.
But you mentioned The Thing. The Thing is one of our biggest movies that we have not covered yet for the sheer fact that we're terrified to cover it because we want to do it.
It's the master of puppets of movies, and we just don't want to go there yet. We want to keep the bar that high.
Side note, real quick. Did you guys get In Madness from The Thing That Should Not Be?
I mean, yes, I'm not going to say that's exactly where I took it from. However, they also got it from H.P. Lovecraft, and this is This is a strong Lovecraft dedicated podcast, but it's also a strong Metallica dedicated podcast.
Nice.
So yes, 100. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, yeah. Usually when I put up posts, I'll start it right at that line where he says, "In madness you dwell." I had a list. We had a list of names for the podcast, and they were all terrible, and I just had this one, and immediately me and Vertebrae were like, In Madness. That's the
good choice.
Thank you.
But yeah, The Thing. What a hell of a movie, like I was saying, I saw that. I saw that when I was a little younger because we did a split with Indecision. It was called Love Is the Fall of Every Man. That came out in 1998. And I was looking for a sample that was talking about trust, because in one of the songs on that record, we scream "Trust no one" over and over again. And although in retrospect, I should have gone with the trust speech from Conan the Barbarian. This you can trust. But I had just watched The Thing for the first time. I'm probably, 25 at the time, and McCready says trust is a tough thing to come by these days, and I said that's it.
Golden.
We put it in that song. But absolutely love The Thing. My friends all swear by it and say it's John Carpenter's best. If I would say it's my third favorite. My favorite is They Live. They Live. and then probably Halloween, and then I would go The Thing.
I love that. I love that take. That's so fucking cool. Hell yeah. I got to ask about one of my own personal. Okay, so I'll get to my personal favorite, the one I ask every single guest we have. Are you a fan of any of the Godzilla movies? And if so, which one is your favorite?
You know, I haven't seen as many as I should, but it was maybe about probably 20 years ago. We were shopping for DVDs in Canada, and they had a sale on like a fancy edition of Godzilla, which I had never. The only Godzilla I had seen at that point was the terrible one with Matthew Broderick, which, you know, as we all know, is just it's unmentionable. But I'd never seen the original Godzilla, and I watched it, and I'm not going to say it blew me away like RoboCop, but I was like, holy shit, this is a lot better than I expected it to be. So if I had to pick a favorite Godzilla film, because I've missed most of them, I still have on Netflix, what is it called? Minus One?
Yes.
Yeah, I still haven't watched that yet. But the original Godzilla is got to be my favorite, because my expectations were pretty low. I thought it was going to be rubber suit with a guy, going around. But no, I thought it was really a fantastic film. So I'm not as well versed in Godzilla as I should be, but if I had to pick a favorite, it would be so far just the original Godzilla.
So this is the other question I ask every single guest we have on the podcast, besides RoboCop. And I know Exorcist is in your top 3. Matt Fox, guitarist of Shai Hulud. What is your favorite scary movie?
Well, that's a trick question, because it's not scary. If I had to pick, I fell in love with it about 10 years ago. I'd never seen it, but I usually tell people my favorite horror movie is the original, The Invisible Man. I absolutely love the movie. I love the effects. I love the acting. I love the violence that's not necessarily shown, but implied. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but in the movie, he just kind of throws a chair at somebody. But what's implied, he even says it, that I'm not using the correct words, I'm paraphrasing a bit, but he says, I crushed this guy's head with a chair. And there's a lot of really heavy implied violence in that movie. And that's not only what I love about it, but I think it's just a fascinating, fantastic film. So I always say that that's my favorite horror film.
Nice.
And probably right under that, also probably not such a scary one, would be Hitchcock's The Birds. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love The Birds.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's an extremely ominous film. And it kind of like I was saying about music, even just talking about it, there's a couple scenes that give me goosebumps.
Yeah, and The Birds, Shawn, we'll get to some Hitchcock films on here, but, when you get to something like The Mist, which we covered, where they're all at this grocery store, and we have The Birds where they're all at this diner, right? We get a lot of like Stephen King borrowing from The Birds when he's writing too. So
sure.
Very, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I got to, do you have any favorite new horror movies or anything new that's come out that maybe you've seen and you're like, oh, I think even if it's some underground, unknown, scary but not scary movie?
Nothing that I can think of that I love, but my girlfriend wanted me to watch the Terrifier movies.
I could lead you in a different direction, Matt. Yeah.
We got you, Matt. We got you. We'll take you in another direction.
I can hook you up with a list of movies. Some of them are emotionally damaging and soul-crushing movies, but they are phenomenal films. I don't
mind.
The Witch is a good. Yeah.
I haven't seen that. I don't mind soul-crushing. Just don't fucking throw a cat at me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I saw the Terrifier films. I fell asleep through 2 of them. But
there's only 3, so far we're not doing well with that right now. Yeah. I can give you movies that you won't fall asleep during. I promise.
I saw all of part 1. I fell asleep in part of part 2, but I saw most of it, and I fell asleep a lot in part 3. Part 3 I didn't like. Terrifier on IMDb, I gave it a 5. I don't even know if I really should give it that high of a rating, because it was, I mean, we all like seeing gore, it's fun. But I'm watching a horror movie right now, but I think it's from 1990. You guys ever heard of a movie called Cemetery Man?
No.
It stars Rupert Everett and my friend who's like a horror aficionado. It's got to be 20 years ago. He was wearing a Cemetery Man shirt, and I said, "Oh, that looks cool." He says, "You would love it," and it's got some gore, no jump scares, which is great for me.
Yeah.
But it's got some decent gore. But the thing about Cemetery Man versus Terrifier, and I'm only halfway through Cemetery Man. I was watching it before we got on this call, but there's a point to all the violence in Cemetery Man.
Mm-hmm.
And in Terrifier, I thought it was just violence for violence sake, and it doesn't offend me. I'm not scared of gore. I don't mind watching gore, but The Exorcist has a point. This movie Cemetery Man has a point, and I felt that the Terrifier films were rather pointless.
It's very much like that with the state of heavy metal too. Some albums have a point, and some heavy metal albums are just pointless.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably the most recent series of movies that I've seen, and I doubt that I ever would have watched them if I was alone. But luckily, I was with my girlfriend, and I said, "Something's going to scare me any second, right?" She goes, "Yes."
Yeah.
So she was there. Oh, I don't know. I got to tell you this. I'm sorry for taking up.
No problem. Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
If you're scared of jump scares, there are 2 sites. One's called Where's the Jump, and the other's called When's the Jump.
Yeah.
And it lists all the jump scares with timestamps. And I use that like the fucking Bible.
That's great.
Yeah. It helps me get through these horror films.
Great plug for In Madness Pod family. Hell yeah.
Yeah. It's When's the Jump is the better of the 2 sites. But I look at it and I see, okay, at 12 minutes and 42 seconds, there's a cat that jumps out of nowhere. So at 12,
it's always a damn cat. Yeah,
it's always the cat.
Yeah.
At 12 minutes and 40 seconds, that's when I start pausing. So I don't.
Constantly hitting the pause. It's so funny.
Shaw, that just made me think of, I used to, take the train into the city and go to a show. And sometimes, like if I went to a show by myself or something and you're stressing on what train you're going to take back, I would look at the set list of the band and I'd be enjoying the show, but I would know like, okay, we've got they're going to come out and then do these 2 tracks. So I can hear the beginning of this and then I could slip out and grab the train at a certain time to go home. I think I would really ruin my live music listening experience, but it actually kind of put me at ease because I was like, okay, like we're far enough along and the show will be over in 20 minutes or whatever.
And I could still make the train home. This is
I
Long Island thinking right here.
Sure.
Absolutely. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. To catch the train home from Manhattan or not get that drunk train that's way too late or whatever.
3 a.m. train.
But I got to look at this jump scare list. Matt, a movie before we let you go that I think you should see, because if you skew onto some older horror films, Nosferatu, the recent Nosferatu is just an incredible film, and the dialogue is incredible. It's beautifully filmed, it's beautifully acted. There are not really any jump scares in it per se. It's overall creepy, but it's very well done. I think you would really like it.
Yeah, it's in my watch list on Prime.
Yeah.
So I do plan on
highly recommended from In Madness Pod. Before we let you go, we have a voting poll going on right now. I would like to count a vote from guitarist Matt Fox for our voting poll because it's going to be the next movie that we cover on In Madness. So I would like you to vote out of one of these three movies. If you
okay, sure.
So we're doing Cosmic Terror, I guess, is the overall arc theme for the upcoming episode. The movies are, if you're familiar with these, maybe you're not, Annihilation, The Void, and War of the World is the one with our boy Tom Cruise. Which one of those three would you pick if the vote was up to you?
Well, I heard that Annihilation was great. I have never seen it. I've never heard of The Void.
Okay, I figured. Yeah.
I saw War of the Worlds in the theater when it came out. And I remember the only thing that I didn't care for was I thought, Steven Spielberg has a way with dialogue. Like I love his dialogue in Jaws, in Close Encounters. Jaws is also probably in my top 5 if you want to consider that a horror film.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember not loving the dialogue in War of the Worlds. I remember thinking that Steven Spielberg was trying to recapture something that he didn't quite nail. But overall, I thought the movie was quite good. So if I had to pick out of those three, given the fact that I've only seen War of the Worlds, I'm going War of the Worlds.
I'll put you down. One vote, War of the Worlds.
And anytime I take, I love answering little polls with Shai Hulud's account on Twitter, or I guess it's X now. And whatever I pick is always the lowest rated. So,
well, we'll see what happens.
I haven't checked the votes, but from what I think, War of the World so far is the lowest rated.
Of course it is.
It's a new thing we're doing for 2026 on In Madness Pod. We were doing it for the previous years, but we're trying to do it more often is offer up voting polls for the audience to vote on instead of just us jackasses picking back and forth what the movies are, we leave it up to a vote to the In Madness family, and they had us do The Shining, so that worked out beautifully recently.
Nice.
What do you want to promote before we get out of here? I know you're heading to Europe soon. New music from Shai Hulud, social media, websites. What do you want to promote before we get out?
Yeah. We use Facebook. I pretty much use Twitter, and all I do is talk about. On Twitter, I seem to talk about propaganda and movies. That's all I seem to, tweet about. But yeah, we're on Instagram. We use Facebook. You can get us there at Shai Hulud _unincorporated. On Twitter, it's just at Shai Hulud. So check us out there. Our website, we haven't updated in quite some time. But so check us out on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter if you want to talk movies. I remember it's kind of sporadic on there. I was trying to start a conversation about the new Toxic Avenger on Twitter, and it just didn't go well. No one cared.
I mean, so sometimes tweets, home run, you get 1 million likes, 1 million retweets, a lot of interaction. Sometimes, 12:30 at night, you're sitting there laying in bed, and you're like, "Oh, this is gonna be a banger right here."
Yeah, no one cares.
Wake up to just viral, and you wake up to like 1 like from some bot account. It's like, oh no.
Yeah. But as far as other things to promote, just if you're interested in Hulud or you like what we've done in the past. I really think that we've got some exceptionally strong material thus far that's going to be available hopefully sometime this year. So check in with us, write us messages on Instagram is probably where we're the most active. And keep your ears out for new music from us.
Hell yeah.
We're, like I said before, we're not going to give you bullshit. There's just no point. We're not making money. It's not like if we put out just a bunch of crap, it's like, fuck it, we're making millions. We're not making shit. So if we're going to make shit, it better be great shit.
That should be the theme of this podcast.
If you're gonna make shit, make it great shit.
Hell yeah, dude. Matt, dude, I mean, I'm just completely obsessed with you and everything you do and all the music.
Thanks,
and
man.
just like you raised me and put me where I am right now at this day, promoting bands, supporting bands, interviewing bands, and just turning on like a whole younger generation to this music that I was listening to when I was their age. And now we're older, more esteemed, distinguished men. And we still got new kids. I mean, Poison the Well just posted some 12-year-old kid. And he's like, I'm 12 years old and I love Poison the Well. And I've
Awesome.
you guys my entire life. And I want that for Shai Hulud for years and years to come. We will be supporting you forever. I'm hoping that we get you back on the podcast. When we do RoboCop, we will have you on for an in-between episode and you could just gush. We'll just go over every scene and you could just go crazy with that. Yeah, I want to check out RoboCop soon. But with that, thank you, Matt. Much love to Shai Hulud. Vertebrae, you got all your bits in for this episode?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it so much.
I apologize. I know I kind of run off at the mouth a bit.
We love you, Matt. We will see you guys next week. Next Monday, we're dipping into the mail sack. Make sure you send us emails, voice notes, inmadnesspod@gmail.com. We will see you for episode 158 next week. Thank you, Matt.
In madness you dwell.